Okay, so welcome to today's 8 March for our Super User Meetup. And we're going to launch our ASEAN Super User 2.0. It's only for ASEAN. So if you're in ASEAN country, thank you very much. You can support us as well. So very quick about myself. It's not because I want to promote myself, but I want to connect with you guys and girls that I come from very traditional network background, server, storage, network, Cisco, whatever. But I have sort of transformed myself to do Kubernetes because I was forced by my manager over here, this black shirt lady. Please stand up, thank you very much. So that's my manager from F5 NGINX to take the CKAD. No cheat sheet lah. I mean, we can share questions ourselves. So basically, I had to evolve because 4 years ago, I joined F5, and it was exactly 4 years that F5 acquired NGINX. And it was the most beautiful acquisition because it's selling so well. So our NGINX team is at the back. So you want to talk to us, please feel free. All right. So what happened is that my first job was with smart cities. Smart cities, you think about IoT, edges, smart bus stops, smart lampposts, smart this, smart that, smart everything. But if you do not know, all this smartness came from the application, and it should run in Kubernetes as a pod because it can spin up in a matter of seconds. So that's the whole idea about Kubernetes. Now, very quickly, all technical people here. So this is just very fast marketing slide. And we know in Asia that the IT skill sets are leaning towards Kubernetes and API and microservices. Kubernetes, API, microservices, you always hear them all together because they all relate to one another, which I'll explain very soon. But the whole idea here is to launch our campaign so that you can do some free online training with NGINX. So meaning you are learning Kubernetes concepts with NGINX rather than the vanilla Kubernetes that we are talking about, or Yong Kang has just talked about. Now, you know that the top 3 would be AWS, EKS. I use that for my own POC. GKE because it's free, because it's a cloud run like AWS CLI. But one more thing is OpenShift. I know this banner is OpenShift. I don't know why it's there. But anyway, it is very popular for private clouds. So if you work in the industry that you cannot have any sensitive data on public cloud, private cloud will always be the way to go. Okay, so that's why OpenShift is there. And what it means for IT professionals is that we are all platform-based. Vanilla Kubernetes is a data center in another data center. We agree that? So that's the number one thing. But you also have to understand Linux, how Google works, how OpenShift works, how server, storage, and network works. Otherwise, you won't understand what's BGP, underlay, overlay network. So this is are still very relevant if you are doing Kubernetes from a traditional background that I came from. Now, for this, the whole idea here is that hybrid cloud is still the reality of today's. No one will tell you I'm purely in public cloud. Even if a company told you that 6 years ago when we met this customer, he pays 6-digit USD dollars to AWS every month. I don't even know if the business model is sustainable. It's a transport company, by the way. So what they are doing is that I want to in-source back to on-premise and do a hybrid cloud deployment. And therefore, your skill sets for data center, public cloud, distributed cloud, I'll explain to you what distributed cloud, it will always be valuable here. Okay. Now, so which kind of offerings do customer use? Again, all these I'm just explaining myself one more time that a hybrid cloud is always the way to go. Private public is always the one that is being used. So this is from CNCF, by the way. You can go and download the 2022 or 2023 version. So what fueled the love for Kubernetes? Now, again, when I talk about distributed cloud, what does it mean? It means that today you are managing on-premise, public cloud, private cloud, and distributed cloud. What does distributed cloud means? Distributed cloud means that if today you are in the industry, let's say I was from IDA GovTech, right? When we have smart this, smart that, you have thousands of, for example, of car chargers, Tesla car chargers. And when you plug in your car to charging, there's always telemetry that is being given out voluntarily to the company to find out your driving speed, to find out your driving behavior. Do you brake very fast? All this telemetry needs to be processed and analyzed at the edge. Otherwise, your public cloud, private cloud will be overwhelmed. Right? No telco can save you, your black hole, your IP, because there's so many data that is going into one single place. So we split up the entire data analysis, and the first data analysis comes from the edges. And guess who does that? Kubernetes, a pod in Kubernetes is doing that. Okay, so that's the whole idea. And just nice, I'm here to promote F5. We have a version that is distributed Kubernetes meant for the ages. That's why you see VMware, Huawei, Alibaba, AWS, Azure, GKE, they all have their own version of Kubernetes. And our version is for distributed IoT devices. So that's our version of Kubernetes. So very quickly, what fueled the love for Kubernetes and why I'm being forced to take the certification by my manager. So monolithic application, no longer one. See, this is an Uber example, very famous example. Just search for Uber microservices to teach you how they break up the entire monolithic into microservices here. And when there's microservices, means the APIs are talking to one another. Each function and feature is its own application, and it can be programmed in different programming languages. That's the whole idea of our API. It is a protocol for all your distributed application. Now, even in architecture, traditional, bare metal operating system, UEFI, BIOS, all this we all know how to install. But today, we are going to virtualization with VMware, Hyper-V, KVM, and even public cloud. Public cloud EC2 is, to me, is another VM, right? Unless you're running a platform as a service, like EKS, like OpenShift, then you need some kind of container deployment. And today, Kubernetes is the de facto standard for orchestration of all your containers. Now, so it automates deployment, but one thing you need to take note very, very quickly, sorry, I need to talk a bit faster because it's going to be late, is that Kubernetes is not built for security. Not now, not today. It's built about operation and speed and efficiency, resiliency, rollback, and whatever. So therefore, vendors like us, like F5 NGINX, we come in to play our part to secure east-west traffic, service-to-service communication, or very known as north-south or ingress controller. So this is the whole idea. You can go read about it. CNCF and our NGINX people say that Kubernetes is not built for security. You need to lay on top something else. Is it open source or paid? Up to your company to decide. Now, very quickly, if you're taking an exam, right? So again, internal load balancer, east-west traffic. But here is what we're playing. What is the ingress controller in layman's terms? It's a very, very specialized layer 7 load balancer. And what is F5 NGINX being known for? An application delivery controller, which is a load balancer, right? So we are a very specialized set. And we are very fortunate that today, the open source project for Kubernetes actually uses our NGINX open source as the default ingress controller. Okay, there's 3 flavors here. But today, Google has chosen us for obvious reasons, and we are very thankful that they chose us as the default. Means when you go and install ingress control deployment, it is actually NGINX open source. Now, the adoption challenge, and this is tying back to why we are launching the ASEAN Super User 2.0. Okay, this is the adoption challenges, right? Now, these are all the various things that they have surveyed. The CNCF has surveyed the people. What is stopping you from adopting Kubernetes? Obviously, there are a lot of interesting stuff, reliability, service mesh. Don't go service mesh unless you're expert in, okay, don't go there first, okay, even I am so quite complex. But the problem is, lack of training is the problem here. And that's why NGINX has come up with a free program to allow you to learn Kubernetes through a vendor product. Very skilled opinion, but this is how we look at our product for ingress controller, API security, microservices security, and things like that. And this is where NGINX Super User is trying to help you achieve. Very quickly, API last part before I talk about and launch the URL to you. Where can you find APIs? In case you are interested in API, okay, we all know monolithic, don't need to talk about it, private instance, private class, okay? But this is where we are coming from. Distributed application means distributed infrastructure, means multi-cloud, multi-public cloud, multi-private cloud. That's the whole idea of it. And of course, serverless, acts as a service, of course, all use our API. Now, in case you're wondering, how should I determine which solution to buy? Should I buy NGINX? Please don't buy us because you love NGINX, okay? Buy something that you really, really want. You can always use this slide. I researched this slide. So there are 4 main categories. Public open API, seldom need your authentication because it's open, like weather, location. Then you have partner API, you need some monetization. You want to charge somebody for using your API endpoint and make some money out of it. API is a crown jewel for revenue, actually, if you ask me. Then we have internal and web API. Of course, you need authorization, authentication, and of course, security, right? Now, for composite API, are you having some kind of hybrid API endpoints that you need to grab different multiple data and then we composite it into one response back to your client, for example? So you need to ask your API vendor, which include us, NGINX F5. What API are you using right now? A mix or just a few? Then you decide you want to buy us or buy other companies. I'm very, very objective here, okay? Don't look to us for everything here. Now, of course, money, right? So this is a CAGR. So CAGR is CAGR, meaning what's the growth in the market today? And of course, today the growth is going up. And why are you learning API gateways in NGINX? So look at the CAGR again, right? If you were to compare all the features, management, connectivity, integration, and whatnot, CAGR of 17.1% means that it is the highest growth. And in our talking to the customers, they always look for API gateway as the first API investment because that's the lowest hanging fruit. What does API do? Routing, security, contract of the API or developer portal. Like just somebody talk about developer portal for internal, right? So this is the whole idea why we are using NGINX as an API gateway, not just a web server or reverse proxy. That is the whole idea we are doing that. Okay, so now what to expect from this learning journey and what kind of swag will you get? Okay, so before that, we have a multitude of technology from one single binary, okay, and it's very lightweight. It can be run as a container, and that is the whole powerful thing about NGINX. In this super user, you're going to learn things like web app firewall, behavior-based denial of service protection. Okay, there's some kind of machine learning there. Ingress controller, the north-south traffic, remember, not the service-to-service, and of course, API gateways in general. Now, if you are a bit more techy, what kind of things you're doing? Do zero trust, mutual TLS. If I can trust the server, can the server trust the client? That is a mutual TLS. Now, web app firewall, and if you are interested in east-west traffic, you can hear terms like sidecar proxy. And of course, you must also use service mesh in a sense, but you don't need service mesh as sidecar proxy. You can use NGINX Plus as an ingress controller, also as a sidecar proxy if you want to have security between service to service, port to port. All right. So anyway, this slide will be given to you. Don't worry about it. So this is the URL. Okay, you can take a photo with or without me. Oh, somebody is talking. Okay, so www.nginx.com/ASEAN-NGINX-super-user. Later, there's another slide for you. Okay. Now let me give you these two things, right? Community site is worldwide. So meaning if you have any questions, like beginner questions about NGINX, I cannot install, my cert is a wrong extension, how to get a trial, blah, blah, blah. You can ask in the community Slack. It's free to join. I also join it. Very active, few thousand messages every day in Slack. I don't even read it. So that will be the your left-hand side, your community Slack. Anything to do with the super user journey, that will be the ASEAN Telegram. Okay, so a bit of mix here, but you can use it to ask any question about, hey, how come I don't get my points and my swag? When is the swag coming? You can go to the Telegram on your right, QR code, on the left QR code. Any technical questions about NGINX in general, open source or paid version, we are here to help. Okay, so that's the one. If not, no, this slide will be given to you. Don't worry. Now, how do you do it? Again, www.nginx.com/ASEAN-NGINX-super-user. This is where you just register yourself. Please submit all your personal details to us. Thank you very much. And you will get to learn NGINX on demand. What kind of thing? Mutual TLS, ingress controller, how do you do service mesh, blah, blah, blah. API gateway, how do you actually visualize API endpoint and things like that. Swagger file, how do you upload? This is where you're going to learn in the on-demand training. Then please take a test to get as much points as you can to earn some swag. But before that, you can some badges. And you can put in a resume. You can put in a resume. I think it's pretty nice to put in a resume that you have learned something about NGINX, which is the #1 popular web server in the world. Okay. And these are the swag. The lowest XP point will get you a T-shirt and I don't know what, some lanyard. Then you have package C and then A. Now the details of how to earn points and climb the leaderboard will be in the website later on. And on the 25th of the month, you'll review who is the top. And probably there will be another top prize for the top leader of ASEAN, okay? Okay, so that's it. Any question about NGINX or the super user group? Anyway, just free. Just go and sign up. Yep. For those who have attendance, please. Thank you. Okay, I will take this slide here for you to see, and then I will pass it the time back to John.
How long will it take to complete your lessons?
I haven't taken it. So probably one video could be 20 to 40 minutes plus configuration. Yeah.
How many learning areas are there for the super user program?
I guess 6 to 8. 6 to 8. Yeah, yeah, around there. Yeah.
Each one
20 minutes.
is on one thing.
Yeah, yeah, correct.
HTTP, a proxy.
You have proxy, web server, cache,
Server,
ingress controller, yeah.
Ingress controller,
protection, security. Yeah.
web application file.
Yes, correct,
So
correct,
each
correct.
one of those
Yeah.
is a module for each one of those.
Yes, correct. Yeah.
One technical question. How difficult it is to migrate from the Apache HTTP to NGINX?
Okay, so the question is how easy it is to migrate from Apache HTTP to NGINX. Anyone got any idea? What? I don't know whether somebody did some configurator change, because we as vendor, we always take other people's code and then convert it into NGINX. So there are community-based website whereby you can say, like, ChatGPT, right? Just tell them what you want. They will give you an NGINX configuration. So so no answer from that side, right? Is it easy? Do you have any tool? DigitalOcean has a script to migrate it for you. Yeah. So we are correct. Yeah.
I think Apache has got a lot of modules. So I don't know if you move over to NGINX, like how do you do it?
Okay, so we need to know what's the module. Best you have a partner and engage us. We'll find the modules for you and we match the modules for you. We have to do that because it is module by module, it's extension. Yeah. I know it's a pain, but if you do a POC, you think that we are faster, then it's worth the pain for one time to come to us.
You said that you've done multi-cloud as well, right?
Yeah.
And you're also a network engineer.
Yes.
Okay, so now multi-cloud means you have one cluster and multiple clouds, right?
Yeah.
How do you have a single cluster across multiple clouds?
Okay. So the question is, I'm a network engineer. I'm supposed to answer this question. No, just kidding. Yeah. So the question is multi-cloud. How the whole idea is that multi-cloud doesn't mean it's just public cloud. It can be any cloud. It can be on-premise, right? So how do we singularly manage, right? So this is where, from F5 perspective, from NGINX perspective, is that we have a multi-cloud. Number one, you must do the underlay first. Okay, underlay is just either your telco network, fiber, Equinix, whatever. But we work on an overlay. Kubernetes also is the overlay networking, right? So how do you look into it? Very similar concept. If you run a Kubernetes cluster or you run an on-premise monolithic application and virtual machine, you need like an agent, like a spy in every multi-cloud. And then what we do is that we will do labeling. If you label each site, each application as label, let's say pool A, right? So if I were to run a command, pool A will find the labels and push the application. So we do have a solution that does that, but you must have our agent there. Now I think everybody has to do that because multiple cloud got different kind of agents, right? So you need to install a neutral agent, which is us. So that's how we do it. Not difficult. Underlay, overlay, and an agent. Yeah. So any question? Okay. Anyway, the team is behind. So if you want to interact with us as NGINX can, please. F5 also can. Okay, wherever. Find job also can, no problem. All right, John.